Hola mi gente, you're listening to Money Chisme, a podcast bringing you the chisme on personal finance, investing, entrepreneurship, and building wealth. I am your host, Violeta, a first-generation Mexican immigrant in which I struggled on my own path to financial freedom and am currently on my personal journey to building wealth. I am here each week to bring you my experience, financial tips, and the latest chisme on personal finance to help you on your own journey to financial freedom and building wealth. So if you're looking for a place to learn financial literacy, how to invest, and how to make your money work for you, then you've come to the right place. Don't forget to visit the blog at moneychisme.com, where you can also keep up with the latest chisme and sign up for the email list so you never miss an episode. You can also find us on social media, including Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter, and YouTube. All right, mi gente, so get your cafecito or your drink of choice and let's get into this chisme. Hola, mi gente, and welcome to Money Chisme. And today we're going to talk about side hustles. And one that I want to talk about today is reselling. So I'm excited to introduce you to my very first podcast guest. So I'm excited about that. And I actually met her through reselling. I try to do that myself. And so I have her here because she is a reseller expert and she is here to talk about reselling. And so here we have Miss Tarra Ransom. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So, like I was saying, I kind of met you through reselling because I kind of got into that space a little bit and I'm still
Yeah.
kind of working through it. But for those that don't know what reselling is, what is that and how does that work?
I'm going to keep it very basic and simple. We can all go and Google, right? But
Yeah.
for me, for me, reselling is taking items that I own and, flipping them for money.
Nice. And for me, I think reselling was a big umbrella. So there's so
Mhm.
many things that you can get into. Like some people resell sneakers and
Yeah.
some there's a big umbrella. So what is it that you resell?
So for me specifically, well, I started out just trying to resell everything. So I started with perfume, I started with small appliances. So basically, I started with selling everything out of my house that I no longer used. I started there. So along with that type of thing, I sold shoes and clothes and everything. So now I found my love. My love is shoes. So I've drilled down to specifically shoes.
Oh yes, I remember you loved finding shoes. So
Yep.
that's how we met, because you remember you would set up the meetups and the thrift
Yes.
trips and all that, and
Yep.
same thing, you always zoned in onto the shoes. I always remember
Yep.
that. And so you talked about how you kind of got into it. How did you find out about reselling? How did you get into it?
Okay. What had happened was 2017, I got laid off after working at a job for umpteenth years. I got laid off. And so, when you're down, you kind of find those, self-help books. So I was into that and I was in self-help podcasts.
Mhm.
So I stumbled upon this guy by the name of Gary Vee. And he was like, have you ever wanted to start a business and you don't have the money for startup? He said, go through your house right now. Go through your house right now and put everything that you do not use and have not used in, I don't know, 6 months or a year or something like that, and sell it. And that's how you'll get the money to fund your business. And
Mhm.
I was like, oh, okay. And then it went further into talking about selling on eBay, I think, or Amazon. I think specifically he talked about those two platforms. And that's how I got started. I mean, and it kind of spiraled from there. And I was like, okay, Googling, how do I sell my stuff online? How do I sell on eBay, Amazon, this, that, and the other? So that's really how it got started.
Yeah, I think I was it's kind of similar, was that I was I love to thrift anyways, and then I would watch like the thrifting videos, and somehow like that led
Yeah.
on to like a reseller video. And then that's
Yep.
kind of like how I fell into it as well. And I was like, oh, I didn't know I could resell this stuff
Yeah.
online. And, it was nice little extra cash for me.
Yeah.
So definitely enjoyed it. So where do you find like products, and like where do you sell your stuff at?
Initially I found products. I mean, after I sold everything I didn't want out of my house, I began to go to thrift stores. Not only that, like my family and friends, the things they didn't want, I was like, oh, if you're just gonna give it away, give it to me and I'll sell it or whatever. So that's where it started. But now I'm focused in more on just liquidations.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't been to the thrift store in like a long time.
Oh wow. Wow. Do you
Um,
miss it?
I do kind of miss it. I like the clickety clack of the racks. Like beep,
Yep.
beep, beep. I love that. So but I still go let me back up. The last time I've been to the thrift was in August, but I go if I'm about to go on vacation, I like to thrift clothes for myself
I'm the same
before I go.
way. I cannot pay for like retail price. Like
Regular
it's so
price.
hard. I cannot do it. I don't know.
Yeah,
But on the thrift store, like I'm just like grabbing and grabbing.
exactly.
It's so
Especially
much.
at the bins.
Oh, I remember the bins. We would go
Yes.
take trips. So I remember we would source from there, and some people would do like the retail arbitrage thing.
Yeah.
And then so you've done retail arbitrage too?
Yes, I forgot about that. My favorite was Ross because at this time, right now, they should be doing their clearance sale. So I
Mm-hmm.
like to go to Ross, TJ. I mean, really, you can do retail arbitrage from any kind of store.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I used to love to go to Ross. And yeah, you're right. I probably should
yeah,
go check out and see what deals there are right now. Cause yeah, it's about that
yeah.
time that they start marking down stuff.
Dropping it. Yep.
Driving. So, how would you say like reselling has impacted you in your like financial journey? Like, how are you using reselling in that aspect?
Um, oh, initially, I guess like, do you mean leading up to it or just kind of like now? I
I would
guess.
both. Like, so how did
Okay.
you like start off? It started off like extra cash for what? And then like, where is it going now?
It started off for extra cash. Then I thought I could do it full time, but I think I was a little bit too scary to do it full time. So then I got a full time 9 to 5. So now it's part time. And so now really it just funds my vacations.
Yeah,
I feel like it could fund my um what do you want to call it, household.
yeah,
I just haven't really, worked that out, I guess.
yeah. Taking the leap. I think that's where we get like kind of stuck is when we like start the side hustle, and initially it becomes like for extra cash. And that's
Hmm.
awesome because it's usually like how you are doing for like travel and stuff. For me, it was
Hmm.
just like it was fun and just
Hmm.
extra for to pay like some bills or whatever. But then
Hmm.
you start moving towards like, oh, can I make this into a business? So do you
Hmm.
think reselling is something that you could turn into a business? Like, are people making money in businesses out of reselling?
Oh, they most definitely are. I see people who started as a team of one
Mm-hmm.
who now has like a staff who does things for her from photographing to shipping to listing to, everything that it takes to resell because when you're by yourself, when you're the only reseller, we have to do everything, right? We got to do the
Mm-hmm.
sourcing, the receiving, the photographing, the editing, the listing, and then the shipping and the customer service. So, I mean, it's a lot. So, but yeah, I most definitely seen where people go from their homes to having buildings now. So that is cool. And it's funny because I've just been playing around with it and thinking about that. Because I have moved from my bedroom. Now I'm in my garage. And now I'm outgrowing my garage. So it's like, oh, what's the next step here? So,
Yeah, you've reached that step. I've seen you and I've seen your
yeah,
garage. I was like, oh, look at Tara. Like, she,
yeah.
it looks like a legit like store in there.
So,
It's freaking looks awesome. And
Yeah.
so yeah, that's awesome that you're already thinking about that next step. So
Yeah.
I guess what is the next step? What is your plans or future goals with reselling?
That's a good question. Oh my goodness. I really want to step out on faith again. It's funny. It's just me and my brother and I was just talking about this like yesterday or the day before. He was like, you seem like you're really into this and you've been doing it for a long time, just step out on faith and, get that building and get those employees if that's what you want to do. But it's kind of hard because I want to keep reselling, but I also love travel.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking like, will I be here to be able to do that sort of thing? I guess it'll be easier if I had staff, but
Mm-hmm.
so I'm just still thinking that out and working that out. I feel like I'm in a safe space because I still have my 9 to 5.
Uh-huh.
So I think my 9 to 5 really is my crutch. If I
Yeah.
had to do it, I think I could make it happen.
Oh yeah, because I see you killing it and you're like Facebook lives and all that stuff, and
Yeah,
see you, like doing all these sales and
I'm
going through
trying.
that avenue too. And I'm like, oh, like she is starting to kill it. Like you are growing out there, and like you said, is just
Yeah,
kind of like taking that leap. And
yeah,
but that's a scary thing for sure to do.
yeah. Now I was just gonna say it's like between the 9 to 5 is like for sure money, and then the reselling is like, you have to really keep at it to grow. You got to keep at it to bring in those sales.
Yeah.
So,
And I feel like that's pretty much with every like side hustle, is like you
yeah,
start off the small and you slowly like get a little bit bigger and bigger, but then you reach that point where it's like, you have to make that decision of like, do I take it to the next level and start like, hiring like staff or something to help me out, but it's definitely scary, and like,
mhm,
trying to find someone that you could trust to freaking take these
yeah,
pictures or do your inventory or whatever it may be. And so I get you. I feel the same way. Like it's scary.
yeah,
So that's definitely a barrier that I see that kind of stops people from going from the side hustle to like an actual business, is that step. So what would you say that is your biggest challenge in reselling?
I guess my biggest challenge is to get my product out there fast enough,
Mm-hmm.
to get it loaded fast enough so customers can see getting fresh new product out there on
Yeah.
a regular basis. Because again, like I said, it's just me. For example, I just got a 100-piece shoe palette Monday.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take me a long time by myself to process 100 pair of shoes. So I
Yeah.
think that's the most difficult and the most exhausting part because the other night I was up to 2 a.m. or I'm up to
Yeah.
3 a.m. because after I get off from work, I go right into my reselling.
Yeah.
So that would be the most difficult part, just to get the product up on my site fast enough.
Yeah. Definitely. I think that was definitely the hardest challenge. And to me, that was like the least thing that I liked. I loved just going out there. So like, would
And
you say that
shopping.
was your yeah, that's the fun part, the shopping part and everything. And then of course the money.
Yeah, yeah.
So and so, but like the listing, like I had such a hard time doing it. And then
Mhm.
finally I just, asked somebody to like start taking the pictures for me, because I can't with,
Yeah.
the 9 to 5 job and then trying to do this business. And it's like, I think I stretched myself out too thin at one point, and I was like, reselling was kind of like getting neglected. And so now
Yeah.
I'm trying to pick it back up. So
Gotcha.
um definitely challenging. So you say you like to sell shoes and you get them through reselling, not through reselling, but liquidations.
Mhm.
Um, but when you were like thrifting and everything, what would you say was like your best flip?
I always talk about this one, and I need to go back and look at the name of this coat. I found this long coat. It was a German brand,
Mm,
and it happened to be 50% off at that thrift that day. So, jackets, they put those up like maybe $14 or something like that. Anyway, I got it off half price. It was $7 or something like that. And so put that up, it sold immediately. And I put it up for like 125.
Uh-huh.
And that was my first biggest flip. And I had no idea what this jacket was. No idea. So I think that was my very first and favorite one, just because I don't know, it's always like a surprise. It's always like, oh my gosh, like really? They wanted this, I don't know. It's always that shock or that surprise of selling something that people want that you had no idea that people would want, or that it will go so quickly, or just to see what goes fast. So for me, that jacket will always be memorable as a first flip. Yeah.
Yeah, reselling was definitely kind of like an eye opener of what people
Yeah.
want. I was like, oh wow, like, finding things and you don't think that it's going to sell or something. It's like, oh, nobody wants
Yeah.
this, but whatever. I accidentally picked it up. I'm put it, and then it turns out to be like your best flip or
Something.
something. So
Yeah.
it's pretty surprising.
Yeah.
So what would you kind of like say if someone was interested in starting to resell to like start
hmm
making that money? Like, how would you, I guess, like advise them to get started?
I would advise them to get started if you don't have any money. I would advise them if they don't have any money and to start with putting no money into it at all, because you can start off for free with things from around your home. And
Hmm.
plus, I'm sure that a lot of us have a bunch of stuff that we need to purge. So
Yep,
and that's
definitely.
another thing that I was doing. I was like, okay, girl, you have too many clothes. You can't fit these clothes anymore. You don't
Like
wear
let them
these
go.
let them go. So that's what I did. So I would recommend starting in your home first. And as far as the platform, the first platform I started on was Amazon. I didn't do too well there, so I don't even
Mm.
want to talk about it. But I would probably get started on eBay first. Even
On
though I
eBay.
sell on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari.
Yeah. I would
And I have my
say,
own
yeah.
website.
Oh yeah, you do have your own website.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think eBay would be probably the easiest, or not the
Yes.
easiest, but like the fastest or whatever. Poshmark has like other things that go into it and stuff.
Right.
But so they would start off there, and then after that, what would you say they could continue doing?
Start off with pulling things from your home, open an eBay
Hmm.
account. Um, Another thing I love about eBay is that it's international, so you can sell to your things overseas. And then once you do that, I would, maybe then venture out to the thrift stores and whatnot, looking for different pieces that interest you to sell. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Like for me, I started out um, sourcing things that people told me to source.
Hmm.
Um, but later on, I learned I don't feel good about sourcing those type of things. That's not fun to me. I only
Hmm.
want to source things that I enjoy, that I like. So I would recommend that. Don't just get every little random thing because someone told you to get it. Source things that you're interested in, that makes you happy. So
Oh,
that's a
yeah.
big piece of it I would recommend as well.
For sure, definitely like focusing on one thing, because I think like
Yeah.
that's a lot of mistakes that, well, a mistake that new people that are getting into reselling do. They're like
Yeah.
getting everything, because I did that. I was getting like,
Me too.
dishes that I had no clue, but I was like, oh, this could get sold. And then I'd get shoes and then hats and purses and everything. And it was just like all over the damn place. And so
Right.
so then you get like overwhelmed. And so yeah,
Yes.
like pick something that you enjoy, like you shoes. I think mine's is like dresses, and just go and do that for a while, and then maybe
Right.
expand after that, or just like how
Right.
you are doing, you're like mostly doing shoes now. So like when we first started, like you remember that like reselling was like starting to come up and everything. It was like
Yeah.
starting to boom. Do you remember
Yes, it
that?
was fresh. It was hot. Like you said, I was looking at YouTube videos,
Mhm.
and this girl was telling me, I'm gonna teach you how to make 20,000 per month reselling. I was like, they make that much, I was excited,
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember it being fresh and new. And now
Yeah.
it's like everybody's into it.
Yeah. And like, I mean, reselling has been around for a long time because like, I mean, I remember my uncle did it too when I was younger, except he flipped furniture. And so he would go and get furnitures and flip it or whatever. And I know people do other things at the thrift stores as well. And so then it just, yeah, like I think with YouTube
Mhm.
and social media, like it started blowing up and everything. And then we even have like more stores, like we have like ThreadUp and like the
Oh
Real
yeah,
or whatever. And so it's becoming like a big, you
a
know,
big
biggest.
business.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
what do you think is like the future for reselling? Like is it going to continue to grow or
I think it's going to continue to grow, but here's the thing. Now I don't know if you've seen this, I've seen where brands are saying, hey, wait a minute, we want a piece of this. So, for example, can I name brands on here? I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
I would just say a brand.
Okay.
I've seen a few brands that now you can resell on their sites.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just gonna name a brand. I don't know, Tara's
Mm-hmm.
brand or whatever. So you can go on their website and resell whatever Tara's brand you have. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if you've seen that lately.
I have like I noticed this other brand that I would go to and then I started seeing like oh pre-loved, and
Yes,
I was like,
that
oh, now they're starting to do this too. Like so many are getting into that because
yeah,
they saw that it was like a booming market. And so
yeah.
I wonder how that's going to affect resellers. Have you seen like it affecting like sales or like
The things I sell, I don't think it's affecting me per
mhm,
se, but I don't know how it looks for everyone else. I think it could affect them slightly. For example, if you have there's this one brand that not only do resell, but they are on Poshmark, for example. When you have brands get on Poshmark, and sell their own brand, that may make it difficult for
mhm,
you to sell it when they can buy directly from the brand.
yeah.
So I don't know, unless you have to play around with those numbers and make sure you source low. Oh, that's another thing you asked me earlier. What advice would I give a reseller if they're starting out? When you do get out to go source, make sure you keep your cost of goods low so you can make money, so you can get a profit. Like in order to beat out that brand, I'll have to beat their price just so I can win.
And like how you were saying earlier, you started off like reselling like thrifted clothes and stuff like that, but now you've moved more towards like liquidated pallets. So like talk a little bit about that. Like how does that work?
To do liquidations, you have to get a resale license. So once you get a resale license, then I basically, how did I find the list? I YouTubed the list. It was a guy that he gave the whole list of trusted liquidation companies that he liked.
Hmm.
So I started there and just tried them out. Also, I didn't jump. Let me back up because I didn't jump immediately into liquidations because
Hmm.
I was scared. I was like, anything small where you just be like, here you go, or whatever.
Hmm.
So you really have to do your research in what you're buying and trying to figure out, based on the cost of goods, how much profit could I make off of this palette. So so yeah, that's how I started with his list and just went through. It took me a long time. And then the first time that I bought a palette, technically I split it with a friend.
Hmm.
So we went in on it and that was a little less scary for me. And so we split it and I was like, okay, that wasn't so bad. And then he gave me a site to go to. And so then I started going in buying my own, but small ones that wasn't that much money. So
Hmm.
that wasn't so bad. It's like, okay, now I'm gonna get my own resale license and go in and buy my own, just a little bit of at a time. But again, I made sure even with buying those pallets that my cost of goods stay very low and that what I'm paying for them, I feel comfortable that I will make my money back.
Hmm. Yeah, it's definitely like scary. Like I bought like little small pallets and
Hmm.
stuff, but it is kind of like uh intimidating to go from like thrifting where you spend a few $100s maybe on things and they're like priced low. So I bought the smaller ones, and it gets intimidating from going to thrifting, and now like you're buying bigger pallets and more money. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on and being my first guest.
Thank you.
And where can they find you for like your social medias and stuff like that?
You can find me at Tarra Ransom on Instagram. Well, my store is Tara's Closet on Instagram as well, and it's the same on Facebook as well. So
Definitely don't forget to follow her social medias and go to her sales. But other than that, I will see you in the next episode. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave me a review and don't forget to share so others may find the podcast. If you'd like to be a guest or have any topics or questions you'd like to hear discussed, you can reach out to me at any of my social media or email me at moneychismeblog@gmail.com. Hasta la próxima. Bye.